Hello everybody, and welcome to what I am tentatively calling my apocalypse diary. I'm filming a bunch of these, probably just one every day, while I'm in quarantine, to keep myself from going insane from the isolation. And I figure that once this whole C virus thing is blown over, then, we can all look back on these and laugh about them, or maybe we'll all be dead, and some aliens will discover this 50,000 years in the future and maybe learn something from it. So, to begin, my name is Andrew Gunter. Some people know me as Jack. I am 31 years old, married, father of one. You can probably hear the baby in the background crying because I just put her down for a nap, and she hates being put down for naps, so sorry about that. We're technically on day 3 of our lockdown, but I'm gonna call it day 1 for the purposes of this video diary, because it's just easier that way, and it's also the first time I've gotten a bit of time to myself to record one of these. So, supplies are good. We have food and water, good bit of those. The electricity still on, the water's still on, the internet obviously still on. So where we're currently at, we're doing pretty good. We're doing good. We have nothing to worry about at the moment. So today, for the topic of conversation, I'm gonna talk a bit about some fictitious video game history and my affiliation with the Umbrella Corporation, because a lot of those memes are flying around that, like, oh man, the Umbrella released the coronavirus, and that's why everything's gone to shit out there. And for one thing, no, we didn't. No, if the coronavirus were actually Umbrella's fault, things would be probably a lot worse out there. I mean, not to, make light of the fact that, people are, sick and dying, and that's obviously a bad thing, but, to quote the Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock, do your homework. So, a lot of people ask me, like, why do you like the Umbrella Corporation so much? Like, they're responsible for many awful things in their own fictitious universe, and yeah, you're not wrong. But I don't know. It's interesting to look at how views and values can change as a person gets older. Like if you'd asked me about the Umbrella Corporation back in, like, the late 90s, early 2000s, when I first started discovering the Resident Evil series, I would have been like, no, Umbrella, they're the worst thing to ever happen to that universe, and maybe technically they are. That's not the point. I would have not been on board the Umbrella train. But if you ask me about it now, well, yes, I obviously am an Umbrella supporter. I mean, hang on a second. Yep, there you go. Bam, right there. Yeah, obviously I'm an Umbrella supporter, and what it really boils down to in the end is, like, I don't know, they hire me and they ask me, like, hey, stand guard outside this laboratory where we're manufacturing these awful genetically engineered monsters. And I'd be like, alright, cool, how much are you paying me? And then, I don't know, they name a number, probably upwards of like $20, $30 an hour. I don't know. Has to be better than minimum wage. Hope it's better than minimum wage. But I'd be like, yeah, no, that'll allow me to put food on the table for my wife and child. Yeah, sign me up. And, on the whole, Umbrella, despite the awful things that they've wreaked upon their universe, it's gonna sound stupid, they're not actually that bad of a company. I think it's something like less than 5% of their employees even knew about, like the biological experimentation and the selling of the viruses to, domestic and foreign military powers and, all that good stuff. A lot of Umbrella was actually doing good stuff, like developing legitimate medicine, and they expanded themselves out and were manufacturing everything from, like, automotive parts to toaster ovens to developing real estate. Just a lot of things that are actually legitimately a good thing to be doing. Like, people like to focus on the whole viral aspect of Umbrella, but they did actually produce a lot of medicine that did actually help a lot of people, and also provided a lot of people with jobs working in like their water treatment plants and stuff like that. The thing is, you can really trace back the problems of the Umbrella Corporation, and really the Resident Evil universe as a whole. Those problems can all be traced back to, like, I think 2, maybe 3 people. So the first one of those was one of Umbrella's founders, Oswald Spencer, and, well, not to mince words or anything, but, Spencer was a fucking nut. But unfortunately, he was a very smart, very rich nut. And one of the reasons that the virus outbreak happened in the first place in the first Resident Evil game in the mansion, Spencer was obsessed with spy movies. So he had all these crazy and elaborate traps built into this mansion because, in his opinion, fuck it, why not? Why not? And obviously, that presents problems to be like, well, this one scientist needs to get to the east wing of the house? Well, I guess he's going to have to go solve the puzzle in the awful poison gas room to get the key that will allow him to get the other key that will allow him to get, to the kitchen to get his lunch. I mean, those problems are pretty self-explanatory. And there's also the fact that Spencer had his business partner, James Marcus, murdered for his research, which, I mean, having your business partners murdered is really, on the whole, just bad form, I think. So, and then that also contributed to the virus getting into the Umbrella training facility, and then getting on their personal train, the Twilight Express, which set off the events of Resident Evil 0. I mean, the fault really lies in those ones, with Oswald Spencer himself being a nutcase. And the second person you could link the tragedy of Raccoon City to is actually a soldier named Martinez, who is the guy who shot William Birkin while they were trying to secure Birkin's research on the G-Virus, which, I mean, Birkin is also at fault here. He went a little loco in the cabeza, as my wife likes to say, and he was researching a new version of the virus, the G-Virus, and then he tried to hide it from Umbrella because they were afraid they wouldn't give him credit for his research, which, I mean, maybe they wouldn't have. I kind of doubt it, though. That seems kind of like there's no basis for that particular accusation. There's no reason they wouldn't have given Birkin credit for the G-Virus, I don't think. I don't know, maybe I missed some files in one of the games, but there was nothing to indicate that. Birkin was just being, paranoid. So they had to send in the Umbrella Security Services Alpha Squad to get the virus from Birkin. Birkin tried to pull a gun on them, which, also not a very smart thing to do. You're facing down a bunch of heavily armed soldiers with machine guns, and you pull out a pistol, and it's like, of course they're gonna friggin' shoot you. Anyway, so they shot Birkin, took the virus, and left. If Martinez had actually, stuck around for a minute, or really just anybody on Alpha Team had stuck around and actually, confirmed that Birkin was dead, then Birkin wouldn't have had the chance to get his last remaining sample of G-Virus, shoot himself up with it, turn into an awful gigantic eyeball monster, hunt down and kill Alpha Team, and then it was actually him who unleashed the T-Virus in Raccoon City by attempting to destroy all the different viral samples while he still had some sanity left. So if they'd just, double-tapped Birkin in the head, made sure he was down for the count, taken the virus, they could have left, and the wheels would have kept turning as normal. I mean, the Spencer estate thing still would have happened, but Raccoon City would still be standing if Martinez had, just made sure Birkin was dead. So it's not really the whole of Umbrella that's at fault for these games. I mean, it kind of is, but at least Raccoon City wasn't their fault, technically. Technically. Whatever. I'm rambling. Like I said, I'm just making these videos to not go insane from isolation. But, I don't know. I still at least support what Umbrella was trying to do, because on the whole, their research into genetic manipulation and viruses and, all the stuff that happened was actually for the purposes of basically making it so humanity would no longer be able to die of things like old age and disease and stuff, which, in my opinion, that's not a bad goal to be chasing. The problem was they needed money, and, the biggest markets at the time were, aside from, like, oil fields and stuff, were other pharmaceutical research and, military stuff. So they started producing all these monsters to sell to foreign and domestic militaries, and the whole zombie thing actually transpired literally by accident. When they were fucking around with the T-virus and they found out, oh, the T-virus turns people into flesh-eating, undead monsters. Well, that's not a good thing, is it? And then, some genius in the upper echelons of Umbrella was like, hold up a minute, zombies? We might be able to use that. So naturally they continued pursuing that particular line of research, which, zombies are an effective weapon, yes, but as you can obviously see by what happened to Raccoon City, not very easy to control. They had other experiments, like the hunters, the Cerberus dogs, and a whole bunch of other things, which weren't actually made from people. Outside of zombies, the only things they really made out of people were, like, the Tyrant program, which never really got off the ground outside of, like, the Proto-Tyrant from Resident Evil 1, the Seeker Tyrant from Resident Evil 2, who everyone calls Mr. X, and Nemesis from Resident Evil 3. Like, there was a few other Tyrant types bouncing out and around in a few other games, but that whole line, I guess it just really wasn't cost-effective, if I'm remembering Umbrella's reasoning for that right. So human experimentation wasn't actually that much of a thing. Now I know I'm just, like, trying to cherry pick, like, the whole, like, yeah, Umbrella isn't that bad. It's like, no, Umbrella's definitely the villains. But in the end, Umbrella paid well. So that's, like, the main reason I would go work for them. And their whole thing of actually pursuing human evolution and immortality is also not a bad goal. They were just kind of going about it the wrong way. Which is why I'm actually really looking forward to the Resident Evil games that are coming after Resident Evil 7, because now Umbrella has become what's called Blue Umbrella, which is literally just taking the red in their logo and turning it blue. And it's actually a bunch of former Umbrella employees who are actually working with the Bioterrorism Security Assessment Alliance, or the BSAA, the people that Chris Redfield works for now, basically trying to make up for all, the bad shit that Umbrella did over the past, 20 years, which, that's a really cool, character arc you could give Umbrella, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where that goes. So, that's cool. And also, in a couple of days, we're getting Resident Evil 3 Remake, which, I'm really looking forward to that. Can't get here fast enough. Thank God we got, that, and Doom Eternal, and, Final Fantasy Remake not too terribly far in the future to keep me occupied during the quarantine, other than, making these, my apocalypse diary. So, that has been my ramble for the day. To sum it up, we're good here. We got supplies, we got food, we got water, we still got power and internet. Everybody's healthy, no one in our household is infected, as far as I know. Umbrella's still the bad guy, but maybe not, necessarily the bad guys that everybody thinks they are, or they're only 5% bad guy, 95%, people who didn't know what the fuck was going on. Yeah, just, enjoy that fun little, look at Resident Evil history for you. I will, be back tomorrow with, another one of these. So, stay tuned. Thanks for listening.